Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is one of the foremost experts on the complex relationship between the United States, Israel, and the Arab world. He serves as U.S. ambassador to both Egypt and Israel. Daniel Kurtzer, who is joining us from Princeton, New Jersey, where he teaches at the Woodrow Wilson School of International Affairs. Ambassador Kurtzer, thank you very much for being on the France 24 interview.
Thank you, Mark.
I want to begin with the Palestinian bid for full membership at the United Nations. The Palestinian Authority chairman Mahmoud Abbas has said that he will apply for full membership at the Security Council. The United States has declared that it would cast a veto in such a case, and some diplomats are really worried that we're witnessing a train wreck. Do you think this is really what is happening right now?
Well, I think it is, and it's quite interesting because you have both trains moving at slow enough speed to stop, but neither is applying the brakes. Palestinians are very frustrated over almost everything that's happened in both the peace process and in their relations with Israel. There's a big question of Palestinian dignity at play here. The United States is frustrated at its inability to move the peace process forward, and now sees the Palestinians going off track with this move at the UN. It's really quite unfortunate that we've come to this point.
So the U.S. will cast a veto, but there's also one question that specialists are discussing, is that in the Security Council, for the Palestinians to succeed and push the U.S. to the veto, you need 9 yes votes. And do you think there's still a chance that they will not get those votes?
Well, the U.S. now is trying several different parliamentary maneuvers, one of which is to deny the Palestinians the 9 affirmative votes so that a U.S. vote against the bid would not be the sole reason it does not succeed. A second possibility is to try to delay a vote for quite some time, to create a subcommission or a special study that would put this off and therefore allow more time for diplomacy. In either case, it doesn't quite solve the problem. It probably would be best for the peace process if a way were found to delay a vote, but that's not assured at this point.
Do you think there is still time to say, okay, we'll accept a bid, but maybe at the General Assembly where you don't ask for full membership, and really put the negotiations back on track? Or do you think there's too much work to be done to really resume true negotiations?
Well, there are 2 real requirements in order to get this thing going again. First is to ensure that the resolution, either in the Security Council or in the General Assembly, does not create its own set of problematic conditions. In other words, to make sure that there aren't unilateral declarations that make it even more difficult to resume talks. The second issue, of course, is to find a formula to get back to the table. President Obama tried such a formula back in May when he suggested that the two sides start with security and territory. But that didn't work back then. It might be possible to revive that, but they would need the opening of the possibility for that to happen without it being precluded by the UN gambit.
I mean, are you surprised that the Palestinians are daring the U.S. to veto them and to show that the U.S. is standing by Israel and not with them and the Arab world, which is itself seeing lots of changes recently?
I'm not surprised by it. I think it's frustrating for both sides. President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority clearly would prefer that it not come to this. President Obama would clearly prefer that it not come to this. But as I mentioned earlier, these are 2 locomotives heading towards each other and expecting one or the other to blink. And it's not happening. Right now, I think Palestinians believe that any move other than to the Security Council would constitute some kind of a setback to their dignity and to their prestige, and therefore they want to move in that direction.
Isn't this a failure of the Obama administration? Let's remember the first call President Obama placed when he entered the White House was for Mahmoud Abbas. They last spoke in February. Isn't this really an admission that the U.S. failed in reviving this peace process?
Look, I've been critical of the administration's approach to the peace process, but I would not lay the entire blame for failure on the administration's doorstep. All three sides have not done enough. The United States has not found the right formula, nor has it applied the right kind of diplomatic leverage to make this move forward. The Israeli government has declined almost every move which has been forwarded by the administration. And the Palestinians have also set up their own preconditions, particularly a full settlements freeze. So none of the parties comes out of this with a great deal of glory. And what we're really talking about is a failure of leadership on all three sides.
President Abbas says he expects a very difficult situation after that. What do you expect happens next if this goes through?
Well, a lot of it's going to depend on the reactions and responses of both the Israeli and American governments. Some in Israel have argued that they will let this pass and then try to move on, while others have said that they expect to take steps in response, such as building more settlements, or even, as threatened by some in the Israeli Foreign Ministry, to annex some of the settlement blocks. The United States administration has not indicated what it will do, but some in the American Congress have suggested that they might cut off assistance to the Palestinian Authority. So any of these responses could, in fact, escalate an already dangerous situation. It's also possible that people will remain calm and, file this as part of the peace process without necessarily making it worse.
I want to turn to Egypt, where you served between 1997 and 2001. We've seen those images of an angry mob in Cairo assaulting the Israeli embassy. The embassy personnel was exfiltrated by, we're told, a last-minute call by President Obama himself to the Egyptian leadership. When this all began, people rejoiced that the revolution was not about Israel. It seems things are changing.
Well, the revolution really is not about Israel. It is about long-standing grievances and authoritarian rule. But at the same time, we've known for decades of what's called the anger in the Arab street, particularly in Egypt and some other places in the Arab world. There is anger at Israel for what is perceived as Israel's fault for not solving the Palestinian problem. And the images of Israeli occupation practices really fill Arab television screens. So while the revolution itself in Egypt is not directed at Israel, what it has unleashed is the ability of Egyptian popular anger to express itself. And the latest manifestation was the attempt to shut down the embassy. I think that's created something of a response on the part of the military and civilian leaders in Egypt. They've reimposed some emergency laws which could curb some human rights freedoms, but they've also indicated that they will not be bullied by this mob into shutting down the Egyptian-Israeli relationship.
But do you fear that what's happening in Egypt, we also saw some tensions with Jordan, and obviously we see a real tension with Turkey, make it seem that Israel is, as Tom Friedman said it in the New York Times, adrift at sea alone?
Well, I would think the Israeli public and government has got to take these developments very seriously. Just a couple of years ago, I think Israel saw itself as being integrated slowly but surely into regional and international political and economic life. And now you see these rather dramatic setbacks, a relationship with Turkey that is very badly broken, and it's hard to see how it gets fixed. And relationships with its only two peace treaty partners, Egypt and Jordan, that are fraying, if not actually in the process of being broken. This is a very serious problem which the Israeli government, I think, has tended to devalue, but has to take far more seriously. It can't simply react to these kinds of events by hunkering down. It's got to take some actions to try to repair relationships and get to the underlying causes of these crises.
As a last question, what would you recommend they do? Should they take a bold initiative on the Palestinian issue, which seems to be at the core of those tensions?
Well, in the first instance, there are ways to repair the Turkish relationship that are apart from the Palestinian-Israeli issue. You still have unfinished business from the 2010 flotilla. The Turks are demanding an apology. A formula for an apology was actually worked out by diplomats but rejected by Prime Minister Netanyahu. So it may be possible to get that back on track and then begin the building or rebuilding of the relationship. On the larger Arab-Israeli issues, yes, it will be necessary to have some movement in this peace process. And I think if Israel re-examined what President Obama suggested back in May, it would find that there's no real danger in starting negotiations on the delineation of borders and the definition of security. The two are really tied together, and that may be a very efficacious way of starting these negotiations.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Kursa. That's all we have time for. Thank you for your wisdom on the Middle East, and thank you for watching the interview here on France 24. Stay tuned for more news.